pe acolo, nu pe acolo. Da, bagaj? Da.
Venez avec moi. Je vais vous montrer quelque chose. On y est presque, soyez patients, venez. Vous allez voir, ça vaut le coup. Ça arrive, c'est la vie. Je pensais qu'ils avaient inversé le sens. Finalement, c'est mieux les escaliers. Ça va? Vous suivez? Avec moi. Venez avec moi. Je vais vous montrer quelque chose. Hein? Venez avec moi. It's beginning. There is a moment, some floats in the fire.
Relativist se legăna pe o pânză de păianjen și pentru că nu se rupea a mai chemat un invitat.
Yeah. You studied psychology?
I did.
Okay.
Studied a lot of things.
I noticed that, yeah, I remember. By the way, psychology and other stuff.
By what?
psychology and other stuff.
Philosophy,
Yeah.
acting, writing.
Hacking?
Writing. Hacking, my brother is really good at hacking, and my cousin. But I hate computers, so for me it's...
Because I heard hacking, you didn't say hacking.
Yeah, I saw writing. And
I heard hacking before, which is funny by the way.
because you wanted probably to hear hacking.
Yeah, boy, of course it sounds like, but yeah, maybe yeah, because philosophy and writing, yeah, we can imagine something like. So what writing, like, you mean you studied literature at university?
Yeah, we did mostly here Romanian literature, which is kind of good because it has a mythological quality, you know. The problem is that they have a complex of inferiority, always did.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday, bit about.
Yeah.
Together, and just last Friday at a moment when people were asking me what I think about Romania, and so it came back this topic. Inferiority you mean in the Romanian literature or?
No, it's in the culture. It's
Yeah.
like
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's our fault. It's like programming of the media. It's
Complete. It's, yeah.
Do you watch TikTok now?
I never. I think.
Never open it. Never open.
I see it in the short stuff that you see on YouTube. You know, there is a lot of TikTok.
That's from you, TikTok, yeah.
But I never go myself on TikTok. No.
Good, but the problem is they did the same thing with Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. All they have that short stories, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and it makes your brain work like that. I saw that.
It's a big topic. Yeah, I completely agree. I was just thinking to it today after I wake up at 1-2 o'clock about how to produce things, and sometimes if you take the steps like Descartes' method, you divide. It's interesting to work on short stuff, but also, of course, you have to always keep in mind the long process. I mean, if you want to write a book, you can write a novel. If you want to write a novel, you can write a pitch. You can write 3 lines. But of course, it's important also to keep in mind that it could be bigger. And so just to have all the range of the length. Something can be just 1 word. It can finish with a long story. And that's we are more in the period where we really cut everything.
Always cut.
It's too much.
You don't have the long experience.
We cut not because we think to the long experience, but we cut just for cutting. You mean if you cut for focus on something, we has value by itself. It's interesting. If you cut just because you cannot do something else, you have no choice. That's not super cool. Yeah, there is something like this. Yeah, I think so. When I see people, especially teenagers, it's impressive. This kind of hypnotization. I look what they are looking at in the subway. After 10 minutes, I'm really thinking, why? It's impressive.
Did you have something when you were younger, like equivalent of that? It's like.
I was thinking to that. I don't. Yeah, that's a super good question because every phenomenon, you have to ask about the history, if it happened before, if it happened in another culture. So immediately you have to open, if you have time, you have to open time and space of this thing. You take a thing, any kind of thing, this, time and space of an experience. So I'm sure it probably happens that you but not, of course, at this level. Of course, now we have an industry of audio, of AV for everything, so audiovisual.
Yeah.
So, but I would say maybe what was told to teenagers about drawing, comics books, so many things like this was seen like not serious because of the form, but because also it's short.
It's short, it's violent.
I think that anyway, when I was teenager or kid, the serious was only kept for books and long articles or official stuff anyway. So
You had like Tintin back in the day.
yeah, and Tintin was not serious. I was not, but it was respected. So it's
Yeah.
intermediate category.
Yeah, right.
It's intermediate category, but it was not a problem of short. It was not a problem of length, because it's long. Finally, it takes 1 hour to read 1 or 2 hours.
Really?
I don't know, something like this. I think it's a real. How to say bande dessinée? I forget.
Bande dessinée.
C'est ça, bande dessinée.
It's
It's the same. I heard it. So finally, bande dessinée. Yeah, globally, I don't know. Find something like this. I mean, it's not the same reproach that we can say to the 10 seconds of today.
Yeah.
Of something. So the problem with anyway with bande dessinée was also for Tintin is a whole one. In past we had some, and today we still have, but we had a lot of short bande dessinée. So it just one sheet in papers, in things like this, you know. So
Oh, I was thinking when you were saying that maybe, you know, meme, it was like 9 gag period. It was meme. Everybody did meme, and meme is like imitation.
yeah, sure, I know.
And it was apparently in classical music. There was meme, like you imitate some kind of portion of music. And meme, we call it here meme. And it's like, I think it's calls for mimesis, you know, everything imitation of imitation.
Yeah.
And if you start to wonder about that, if maybe the system of life works so good because everybody thinks that the other person has a better life because it moves really good, you know. But you have, I think everybody has the same life. It's just the colors are different, you know.
Exactly, I completely agree. I completely agree with that. That's something for me very important, and it took me time to really believe in it. Not only know and forget, but
Really believe it.
And it keeps, and almost think to it every week or something like this. And by the way, there are 2 people who say something interesting. Of course, Fernando Pessoa. I have in me all the dream. Je porte en moi tous les rêves du monde. I hold in me all the dreams of the world. I don't remember the book, but it's kind of quotation that we see on the internet now. So this idea that any kind of human life you have all the desires.
Yeah.
And Jacques Brel, you know maybe Jacques Brel, the Belgian singer.
Oh yeah, Ne me quitte
Ne
pas.
me quitte pas, exactly. Yeah, that's the most well.
Yeah, that's the famous.
The most famous, and so many other. He said he was a brilliant artist. Anywhere, everybody say that in francophone world.
Really?
Oh yeah, not only singer, a kind of philosopher. I mean, practical philosopher and poet. Anyway, a really brilliant artist. For sure, everybody is more or less agrees on that. He said something simple in an interview, which is well known by the way. He was always talking like this and about concrete life. And he said you know, when you have 16, 17 years, you had time to dream about everything, in fact. In cycles, I mean, you still have a kind of saturation, I mean, depends of course of your personality, but finally, it's so long, the first 15, 16 years in your life, it's very long period in fact.
It is.
You have time. You have time. You don't work, I mean, you go to school, but you have so much time to... So in this way, if you let your imagination go on the fly, and finally you really have time to think to what your parents' life, grandparents' life, family life, people you know, movies, literature. Of course, if you food, take some food for the brain.
Food for thought, yeah.
Yeah. So, and after, of course, that's why after when you really go in the normal society, you see what the fuck. With all I have in the brain, it will be difficult to find a place in this world.
Exactly. So you're so unique in your brain, you know, you have that many ideas, it's not imagination, I don't think it's imagination, it's more like alternate species of reality, if I can say that, you know. You see like this whole pattern of life, and then you go to society, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be this like, not even 1% of what you are. I'm not gonna be like a demented freak because society says no, okay, I'm gonna be this square. I don't mind that, but it's this world, this society, I think bores me, and for developing, you know, it's like it needs to change. I think it needs to change a lot.
Ah, man. You say bores you like boring you?
Yeah, it bores me a lot.
That's exactly what I think every day about it. By the way, I just reminded it recently because we are talking about boring out at work, not burning, but boring.
Boring out.
You heard about it, it's coming from modern anthropology and modern sociology. At least it's not recent, I mean it's at least 5-10 years old, but it's after burnout, which must be 20 years now, something like this. And boring out is more recent, but I love it because it's the most difficult to see. It's easy to see burnout, obsession, too much things, productivity, but boring out, it's in the back, you know,
it's not crash.
Yeah, of course.
It's not crash.
You don't
it's
see
like,
it. Yeah.
What can you do?
You don't see it immediately. It's much more tricky.
It is.
Putain, boring out. And for me, it's exactly the point of today. Boring, comfort, conditions, illusions, which is an old topic in philosophy, of course.
Yeah.
Socrates. But it's this combination of comfort, boring, illusion, mass also, massive, everything is massive always. To come back to what you opened the topic on, we all have the same life, and I said after Fernando Pessoa, just because it's super good, it's a very good line. We all have the same life, and you say after, but we are all unique also. And that's exactly
it has to work in exactly the paradoxical way of both, you know.
That's a fucking tension.
That's crazy.
That's a fucking tension. How to be really unique, definitely achieved, and also not crazy. For example, not alone in your world, which is very difficult to live. I mean,
it is
accepted if you have two big stuff, a certain metaphysic or a certain talent. If you are sure of your talent, maybe you can live and say, like Beethoven, you can say fuck to everybody. I mean, just our niche.
Exactly.
More or less, you know, they were in contact with people, but you know, they were also...
Yeah, Beethoven was really insane, man.
Yeah, but you know,
insane.
I just saw a document last week about him, but of course I knew, but And finally, I made the connection between Nietzsche and Beethoven and any kind of freedom, of course. Beethoven, of course, this guy.
So you associate with Nietzsche?
About an example, no, not really, but I don't know enough. I don't know so much because I didn't study really their life. I have a biography of Nietzsche.
I understand what you say.
But about
it's the same intensity.
yeah, I think that really we can say something like this in parallel, same intensity, and a kind of very physical and personal issues.
Yeah.
Death for Beethoven. Nervous, nevrotic problem from Nietzsche,
really neurotic, yeah.
with a bad end, by the way. A big suffering anyway for both of them, and in the same time, genius recognized in that time, which is important, not like Mozart.
Yeah.
Recognize that Nietzsche, Beethoven, well, I don't know, but both of them, they were really recognized, but it was not enough. They were suffering even if they were recognized, which is very interesting also. You're a genius, everybody says that, but you're not happy. I love that.
Bore out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's the same with kind of everything in this world. You know, when I first had sex, I was expecting it so much, and then I was like, Bukowski, you know, that's it.
Bukowski, well. Mm-hmm.
Not the same thing, because
Good example.
you want. Actually, I don't think I think that Wittgenstein had a philosophy of language, and he was really right, because he said that we created, or not we, but the world created a system of language, and we associate all the time language, and we say, let's play a game, and play, the whole concept changes your way of thinking, and then you think, okay, I want to have kids, but you don't want to have kids. Something has to move, so you have kids. It's not you that wants, and it's not the kids that want to be born, you know. It's important, you know, if people realize that the languages dictates us really, really, really bad, I don't know, maybe it could change something.
Recently, I just know little about Wittgenstein, but I saw, as you said, it was a good reminder, but I studied a little the concept that Wittgenstein is talking about through other people, like Bertrand Russell, for example.
Oh, I love Bertrand.
Yeah, I love this guy, he's cool guy.
He's a
you know.
cool guy,
He's
yeah.
cool guy,
He
yeah.
looks like a cool guy.
Pacifist also, he
Yeah.
was, and if I don't say something stupid, he met Wittgenstein, I think, at a moment. In fact, yeah, that's why I associate.
He did.
They had a connection at the beginning and at the end of the First World War, I think so. But of course, Russell has this thing from mathematics to philosophy through pedagogy, and politics. So he's for me, is kind of wow, what. And also human guy, like problem with his wife, the kids.
Yeah.
And I like also not to be. I mean to be
Not
normal.
perfect.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, and
And he lived like 90, man. 90 years old.
yeah,
So smart, and to live 90.
I think so. Yeah, he died. I think in the 50s, something like this.
Yeah,
Or maybe even 60s. Yes, and so he was there at the big changes. First, the two wars. He was pacifist for the second one.
Yeah.
It was important. He did it. He was very criticized, etc. So he was brave anyway. And so, yeah, about language and conditioning. He wrote also about religion, Christian religion, and of course he has a book about science and religion.
Yeah.
I think it's the title of the book, something like this.
I think
I read it briefly, not like many books in philosophy. Sometimes I don't finish, but anyway, I try to at least to take something and really. I was totally excited reading this. Each phrase, I feel, wow, at least he says what I feel better than me. more precise. But he makes me free, because I don't have the good things you read, like Nietzsche also sometimes in Too Free he changed your life. So I have this emotion with Bertrand Russell and Science and Religion and other stuff he wrote. He goes directly to the point. He's cool. He's Nietzsche is a little. Bertrand Russell is cool.
That's when he lost a little Nietzsche. Übermensch and all that, superhuman. Every person, but every guy especially, has that super wants to be like ruler of the world at some point in his life,
Yeah.
And then you mature and you find out that it works the other way around also, that you have to be a slave to be a ruler. You understand that, Nietzsche missed something, or maybe he didn't, but maybe that image of him was supposed to be like that, so we can learn the example,
He has temper, he's brutal. He has too much energy, but exactly about this, to be a slave, he said also, I understood it just recently, but some years ago, if you are looking for heroes, you have to look for zero. And it's, of course, the complement of all yin-yang stuff.
Yeah.
I suppose it means that if you want to understand something about an experience, you have to know, of course, the both sides of the experience. Master and servant, for example. And you have to really pay inside to be both, and also from inside, but also from outside. If you want really to be good in anything, take the best, of course. Take Beethoven, but take also the worst musician in the world.
Yeah.
To see how he's like and if you understand why he fails, maybe you will better understand the.
Yeah, exactly.
What I say, maybe it's fine. It's obvious in a way. It's
and that
banality, but
even in morality, for you to be a really good person, you have to be bad sometimes. That's why I missed that for years, because I thought that bad was like separate from good. But they work with each other. If you take one out, it doesn't work. You have to be. So when people talk like there are criminals and murderers and why, they have to be. And it's okay to be. That's why I don't mind it now when I see on TV they play like don't smoke, don't drink, don't because it shortens your life. And then the next commercial, drink a Heineken, be good. It's funny now.
It's funny. Yeah. It takes time to accept it. What you just said about Barin, it makes me think to finally, of course, fairy tales. All the fairy tales are about to show you two different paths, and how they are finally so much close. You can, and it's big education. You will have to choose at the moment if you can choose, if you can, or just at least they show you.
I think it chooses you.
Yes. But at least there is something like this in the fairy tale globally, to always show it's not only like the good and hate the bad, it's also just showing.
Well, I was thinking about Red Riding Hood. You know the story. When you're a kid, you're like, okay, so the wolf is the bad guy, he wants to, but you grow up, you understand what it's trying to say. Now I think the wolf is the good guy, and the Red Riding Hood is that desire for him,
I think so.
It worked like that.
That's a super good. I didn't think to this story since a long time, but now you make and I'm in, especially the idea of bad and good, and
and the grandma, which has experience and knows how to play the both sides, and it's complex story, always.
Finally it's complex story, but of course I immediately because it's there's a sexual aspect with the wolf, the nice rhythm. Also, maybe the wolf would like to spend some time with the grandmother. That's something that's something we understand when we grow up.
Yeah.
Even when we just become teenager at this moment, we think, hey, and you think, no, it's not a good thing I just had in mind. I'm 14 years old. How can I have desire for a grandmother? Okay, I forget it. And
I'm glad you said that.
that you censor yourself immediately.
Yeah.
But
everybody has a policeman in their head.
yeah, it's a policeman inside. But anyway, it's too late. The seed is here. You had this idea one time. It will come back every year, and every year you will think, finally, why not the grandmother also in this story?
Yeah. Well, sexuality is always, that's why I'm saying about language, because people separate always sexuality, like, okay, you can sexually think about your mother or your brother or your pets or your objects, because you're programmed to, okay, I'm gonna, just a woman and me, and that's the matrix, but if you go outside, you see, like, you don't choose. I don't think you really choose it. It chooses you, always. You have, maybe you change your preferences, but I think you're born with some conditioning all the time. If you're really smart, you can change that, but you don't have to, because there's no bad or good.
It's above bad and good. Yeah. Yeah. Very Nietzsche, and also Spinoza. Also in a way, yeah. It's don't judge. Well, finally it's something. In fact, you're probably right. But finally, it's we're more focused naturally, like Stoicism, about what we can do, what we can change. But maybe, yeah, it could be good also to be able to evaluate, have an idea of what we cannot change also. I mean, of course, yeah, and it's probably this. What we are meant for, the condition. I would say that maybe we can say something like we are made from something. Like Nietzsche also says that, but the conditioning we can say probably it's the meaning of outside. Conditioning means it's not the same. There is a conditioning from inside and a conditioning from outside. And finally, maybe it's important, this smart brain, to criticize the outside. And maybe it's a loss of time to criticize inside. I mean, to criticize what you cannot change. I mean, in this way, you accept it at the moment, of course. You understand what I mean by that?
No, I know.
You will criticize yourself because what you can change in you, but this part that you cannot change.
Yeah, but who is criticizing who?
Yeah, it's limit. Yeah, that's there is a limit, and in fact, there is no you in fact in this.
Yeah, there is no you. Maybe that's a grown-up talk, but I think we need that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of teenager talk.
You touch directly the essence of human, which is typically this ability, like in philosophy, to take use. It's not you criticize you or you, but to take yourself as an object of something.
Yeah, and that's the most important.
This kind of stuff, there is some words about this finally. This kind of return of something. This kind of we call it also introspection, finally.
Yeah.
And so when we use this word, finally, it's not like exactly criticize, it's just like going inside. It's not, you don't divide yourself, you just remember what you have done and what you heard, so you just remind to all voice coming from outside and what it has done, and you just introspection finally is mainly about data. I mean, it's mainly about what happened. Ah yes, I was here. Ah yes, I was here. And after you can make some connection, but finally it's still enough. I mean, it's still a first step, a big step to just really remember. It will change you just if you remind that.
Exactly.
You
If
say
you
that
remind it.
It will reshape you a little. I mean, it will. I mean, it's really good. It's really it's a first step. I mean, just to have this, and everybody does that. I mean, everybody. People don't recognize it, but everybody.
Everybody does. But I was thinking last week at this.
Permanently.
You have I had big things for me spiritually in the last years, and if I don't think about them, I forgot them. You know, it just goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to really change that program you want, you have to. That's the way, because there isn't a method. Because method is just a concept. It does not mean anything in the real world, you know. People associate too much words, too much. Even if they had, you think with words, it starts to make sense, sure, because it goes to A to point B to point C, but there is A1, there is A2, and you have to go deeper and deeper into that. But it is improvisation, like you said.
Then finally you come back, because exactly what you said, globally, every time, and I am permanently in this trap to look, like so many people obsessed, to look for the good method at the moment. But of course we have to be honest with ourselves. It's always a safety, it's always something you use to quiet your anxiety, but honestly, method helps for sure, but I mean, no, it's super efficient to get some purposes, but we have to use method only to get purposes, not to calm anxiety. And of course, there is something like this in this rationality around to forget that it's not the last step. The last step is improvisation. The last step is...
there isn't any last step.
I mean, above. There is something above. Which is the first step also. You start with improvisation, you will finish with improvisation. And in the middle, maybe you can use method. But I mean, in this world, we try to get rid of improvisation.
Yeah.
Accept it.
Real improvisation.
Yeah.
Because who invented this word is a genius.
Oh well, super good. I have no idea. I didn't.
Probably it's old, really old. Probably
It's super good question.
Visage, maybe.
Visation, it looks like visation, probably like vedere, but it's like visual, maybe also. That's super. Visage also, I don't know where it's coming from. If it's also coming from the sense of view.
It could be, you know. When I was in acting school,
yeah,
we did a lot of improvisation, but it wasn't improvisation. It was rehearsed improvisation, and that's not really improvisation.
Like you had a canvas.
Even more than that.
Yeah.
It was like
canvas. Would you say?
Yeah, canvas would be good, but like we improvised like once or twice, and then we did the same thing, and then when it was time to really improvise for the people, we did the thing we did before. That's nothing. And people go to improvisation show and they think, okay, so these guys are really talented, they did all this, but they didn't do nothing, you know.
We can say it's kind of half improvisation. It's prepared improvisation. Which is funny, by the way, which is funny. You have been to acting school? Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I know about philosophy and for you, but okay. I told you maybe me too.
No.
Yeah, man.
Oh my God! Small world.
Yeah, ça m'a tâté. Yeah, that I've been to Brussels for the public acting school. I stayed 1 year and I have been fired because for a disciplinary problem.
Okay.
On one hand, I was sad. On the other hand, I was proud. I'd say like a fucking teenager. I was 28. So I reacted like a young, stupid guy. Say, that's cool also to be fired because you don't always fit, you don't always deliver what they're waiting, and you fuck. I didn't say fuck the system, but honestly, it was nice, interesting acting school, but also it was very sometimes stupid, classical, boring, and they had some issues. I mean. I have no regret to have been fired. Of course, if I went back again in time, I would maybe disciplinary myself more to
You're
accept.
sure?
Yeah, a little, just to be curious to go to the second year. But they proposed me to do the first year again. I said, no, guys, no, I'm not just, no, I don't do that.
But it's a really narcissistic business. You know, if you think a little too much, they don't like that. They like
exactly what I had.
a table noir. They can paint on it, but their table, you know, that they modify.
That was my that I was totally, and I was not the only one this year in my promo, in my class where, so I felt not lonely because my roommate also dismissed. I've been fired, but he dismissed, which is finally more or less the same. He dismissed in March. I was fired in June, and but it was not fighting. I mean, anyway, I took experience, and but also teachers told me finally, you had some experience before. Maybe you don't need this school now. Maybe you could. Some teachers were cool, so they said, try your path now. Maybe you're ready more than you think. So you try. So, and I say, okay, thank you anyway. So, and thank you anyway. You took me into school. There was an exam. I mean, there was a competition, concours. So they took me, and just for that, I feel grateful, and and of course I stay in Brussels.
Well, and it's not all the time bad that they did that. Maybe you were ready. Maybe, you know, sometimes people go to school because they don't know, but if you already know, maybe you don't need school. You know, I realized when I went to a casting, I didn't get it, but I felt so good on the stage. I felt like I was way deeper than the other persons there, and I thought, okay, I don't care if I get this. I'm better at what I want to achieve than everybody. You know, why I need this kind of validation? You know, Eminescu, he had a saying like, always be careful in what mirror you look.
Ouais, c'est super ça. C'est super. Wow, that's that's Asiatic. Wow, I don't have something like this in mind. Like another quotation on the author. I mean, I don't see immediate. I understand totally the concept. I don't see the connection with things I know, but it makes totally sense. It's so, and it's. I mean, it's very nice. It's very precise way to. Yes. It reminds me something in Greek, probably in I don't know, Socrates, Platon, or Heraclitus. Something you reflect. Something is a reflection of the lake, of the water. But yeah, that's typical. Typical thing of artists and philosophers. I mean, it's typical. I mean, it's totally what we're working on every day. This ability to, as we say, criticize, introspection, and doubt anyway.
Yeah.
And conditioning, because the reflect of yourself, it's like introspection by the mirror. The mirror is also an instrument of introspection. I'm thinking to the mirror also because in dance we use it a lot for dancing. And it's not narcissism.
No, it's structure.
Sometimes it is, of course.
It is sometimes.
It's impossible to separate. It's super interesting, by the way. You are dancing and sometimes you give yourself some, it's cool. And of course, sometimes you think it's shitty. But you have at a moment to say, it's not cool, it's not good, it's not bad. It's just, is it what I want you to do or not? And that's it. It's not always judging. And so, it's an instrument, but
that's what I'm afraid in dance classes, that there's always that mirror, and it's the temptation to look in the mirror.
Yeah, always is absolutely. I don't like always. I don't use it always. I don't like, and I flee away from mirror also in dancing. Absolutely, and I think it's people globally use it too much. That's my opinion, but
no, I agree. It's like people like to be objects.
But of course, exactly like method, it's of course it gives faster results. But what kind of result? But yes, it works. You go faster. Yeah, I cannot say. It's difficult to go against in common sense. But what kind? We could discuss about the kind of result you have if you always use this tool. But just to come back to Oglinde in thinking, I mean, it's Oglinde in projection in mental. It's mental in Ionesco. It's a mental projection.
Yeah.
That's vertigo thinking, because I mean it's also when the kind of mirror you use. This mirror by itself is not objective like the real mirror. So of course, I mean, for example, if you evaluate yourself according to your job, for example, it could be a kind of transcription. The kind of mirror you use, for example, your social status is a kind of mirror. But this mirror doesn't exist by itself. It's still a kind of perception. It's a social building.
It is.
So the idea of the mirror is super good, but it's more complicated than it, because the mirror by itself, it's how to say, it's not the real mirror. It's a building. It's a building mirror.
The Africans have that saying that they can't use mirrors or photos because they take their soul away.
Like Indians.
I understood that way later. I understood that immediately, but deeper. It says that if you put yourself like an object, you're not gonna enjoy the life. You're gonna deconstruct your life. Maybe you're gonna prolong your life. But these guys, I don't know, maybe they have an authentic life because they don't analyze themselves. It's better, I don't know, but it's more visceral. It's not that bad.
That's good. That's interesting to remind this. Probably like anything, it's important to know, that's very important to know that human beings were sensitive to this. And so it reminds us how much visual sense is important. And after that, it's not a question of use it or not use it. It's just a question to know that it's possible to have a life without it. It's possible to have a life totally with it. And so it will make your life not more complicated, but it will give you the opportunity to make a balance and to choose and to evaluate if you need the picture or not. If you need the mirror or not at this moment.
So it's, wouldn't say paradoxical, but it works like negative, positive in that, because you're gonna be, I wouldn't say happy, but an African life like that in the jungle could be a nice life. And here we're like, we want to be God figures. Maybe that's fear, because you need that, and they don't need that. They just go with it. I used to be more critical of, let's say, stupid people. But they are not stupid. They just live more intensely, you know. I admire that, but it's not me. So it's not my style.
Yeah,
You know, the Indians have monad, like, I don't know, and it always go like in a fourth. You know, you have 4 elements. You always have one. You have to have the opposite, the 2, and then you have the double of them, the shadow. It works like 4, and because they are 4, you can't see the whole system. If they were just 2, you will see, okay, so it's black and white. I can see it. Everything is black and white. You have the shadow, and you don't see the shadow. That's it for me was.
Well, that's what you call monad.
Monad. I don't know in French how it's called.
Monad. I think it's. I was thinking monad is like because there is a kind of mono. It's kind of something. How to say? I don't have it. I don't remember what monad means for me. It's Leibniz, no?
It could be. I didn't read them.
But it's not the same meaning. So okay, that's why I make confusion, and because I forgot what it is for Leibniz. It seems it was part of God, monad, but anyways. So, but for Indian, I don't know what is monad. But what you say is very interesting because it reminds me something in anthropology. First of all, it reminds me that, of course, we need 4, double, and often, finally, in many structures, you have 4 things. I don't know why. It's weird, you know. Even in genetics, you have 4 basics, you know. There are so many things in 4, like double, yeah. And starting from that, if you have the double of double, you can also double what you double, because you still have that 18 concept. So just a question of iteration after 8, 16, 32, and then which is magical numbers that you see in China, and in mathematics,
and you have 4 Beatles, 4.
It's the binary system that you double, and if you double it one time, you can double it multiple times. So that's why 4 is, you have 2, 3, and 4, and you have also ternary system, because ternary is the middle of something. So each time you have a binary system, you have also a ternary system, because you have also something in the middle.
Yeah.
So that's why it's also in the basic cognitive conception of everything in anthropology. There is a moment where you have 2 things in mind, in opposite. Sometimes you have an idea of the middle, like for example, black, white and grey. You have a perfect grey, which is 50-50. It exists. Here it exists on that. The perfect grey. Which must be super nice color, probably. It can be. What is it this one? This one? I don't know. But the perfect gray exists.
Which one is for you? That's the question. What's the essence for you?
That's a good question. Yeah. I don't trust me enough. I would trust the computer. I would trust the computer.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still.
That's my problem. Yeah, I have.
No,
but
computers now.
I assume it now. I assume that maybe for. No, I'm joking. Of course, I assume it because by humility, that I'm not good enough to make to choose, to know what is a good one. But I assume as a human being that I will have to choose and to assume my mistake. So I will and we need to be man enough, human
Yeah.
enough to say, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I take it anyway. It's mine. I
Yeah,
understand
that's
that.
tough, man. That's
We need to do that, of
that
course.
we need to do.
We
Yeah.
need to put not the ball, but we need to say, okay, end of the game. I play.
Exactly.
I say that. I lost. Okay.
It's my position.
It's
I
my
want
position.
to-
I accept. Yeah, that's. Of course, you have no. I know what it is not to choose. Also,
Yeah.
I tried. It's super. You pay it. You pay it very.
Great, yeah.
But you need also to see, like when you burn yourself, you say, okay, it's burning when you don't choose. Okay, but I try. I burn myself. So
You
I.
have to work. it.
But anyway, yeah. So 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And after, just combination 6, 12, 8, all is combination of 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
It reminds me, for example, in cognitive anthropology, the 4 ontologies fundamental for everything: totéisme, naturalisme, animisme. Putain, j'ai oublié le 4e. I always forgot the 4th one. We are naturalists. Structurally, we divide from the nature. Naturalism don't mean that we are in the nature. Naturalism means exactly the opposite, that we analyze the nature as something different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's cognitive anthropology. It's super. That's one of the best thing I ever.
Really?
Yeah. Because it gathers everything. It gathers Lévi-Strauss, Freud, and probably people before. Something. Yeah, Philippe Descola. Maybe you heard about him.
No.
It's a French guy, so it helped me. But it's a disciple from Lévi-Strauss,
Okay.
which this one has.
Yeah.
He had a nice. I mean, he was well recognized, even if he's French. But Philippe Descola is not well known. He's discreet, 75, 80 years old now. I think still alive. He won some prizes in anthropology in the world. And I discovered randomly by a guy 10 years ago. He told me, I studied sociology later. There was a class. And in anthropology, in sociology, they have a little class of anthropology. And he told me that. I said, what the fuck? I check on Wikipedia. I said, what the fuck? You can put every species, every tribe in the world, you can classify it. That's perfect.
It is.
So by the way, when you just say 4 stuff, immediately I had this in mind, but it was not the same. What you say is different, and it's very interesting, by the way. It completes this kind of, it's different. It's typical Indian, by the way.
It is Indian.
These things in the shadow, I think also that I saw that in shamanism in Siberia. I saw it by reading. And in shamanism in Tibet. You know Tibet, they are shaman.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about going, but now I don't
You
know
too?
if- You too?
Yeah,
Cheers, man.
we are.
Incredible.
I think we are more or less the same race of crazy guy.
Yeah.
With different, of course, steps, path, and origin. But I like this idea. Like, we come back to what we said. We all have the same life, some kind of same desire, but not at the same moment.
Exactly, not at the same time. That's the difference.
But yeah, we this, and also maybe this. But even if we all have the same, I would say that anyway, if we remain practical, we cannot share that. Not everybody who accept that. I mean, who understand that we have all this. A lot of people live only with part of themselves. I mean, especially in big cities. I mean, where the conditioning is super strong.
Yeah.
It's not only Bucharest. Of course, as you know, Paris is not so fantastic that what we think is fantastic by architecture, but people inside are a lot like this, for sure.
Squares, yeah.
Yeah, of course, with nice clothes and nice food, but anyway, it's just decoration. I mean, inside,
Yeah,
but
that's what
Yeah.
I hate about the publicity life we live now.
mm,
It's all just image, you know. It's just hard to. Where should I go? You know, you want to go to another country or another place, but why should I go to? I always wanted to go to Paris, but now Paris is more like. It's a dream, you know. It's I don't know.
Oh, just if you want to brief about it, I would really definitely not recommend it. Recommend for a short moment, of course, it's interesting to see and to feel the perfume of history.
Yeah.
And of course, to save time, because it can be useful, so read
But to
some.
live there.
No, I know. No, really not. Because nobody knows about his. I mean, because people live in Paris but don't live in Paris. They live in Paris but they don't know how much, what it means.
Mm-hmm.
So you will really better understand Paris out of Paris by reading Zola, a minimum. Lot of
Yes.
people in Paris forget Zola, really. I mean, but to appreciate Zola or Camus or you need 2 weeks in Paris. I don't know, 1 month in Paris. I mean, you need to go from 0 to 1 by a minimum of trip.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know a minimum, you see, okay, I see more or less this atmosphere, this boulevard here. Okay, I know the geography is like this. Okay, you have the basic idea, but from this basic idea, you can build inside everything, and further, faster than just living there. If you live there, you won't necessarily meet people who have the same. You will maybe meet super people, probably by the way, but it's not so much necessary. And first, about I would say how people are living, but also second, much more how people are living. Also, economical conditions.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible now. So I mean, it's of course if you have money and time, yeah, go to Paris. Yeah, I change what I said. If you have money and time, do it. But you will need a lot of money. So if you have it, yes, of course, go meet people, poetry, philosophers, historians, and take rendezvous after rendezvous at La Terrasse and talk with people. Yeah, do that. But if you have less money, do it for 1 month. It will be enough as an experience.
Mm-hmm.
A good city, French city, would I recommend Brussels, for example. You will have same thing, but with cheaper for you.
Really?
Brussels is really enough.
Oh.
You have connection with all the French culture and the Belgian culture also, and the Flemish culture, but without the problem of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
I caricature, I resume, but yeah, I'm sure. Maybe also other big cities now, like Toulouse, Lyon, Nantes, what we call Provence before,
Mm-hmm.
now Race, and you have also very nice cities in France where you can have all the best culture and without the problem of Paris, which is very difficult to live. I mean, in a daily life for a long period, of course. Again.
Oh, I don't.
So
I
that's
don't I'm a romantic, you know. So it's. I think it would be a hard life, but.
And also about artistic stuff. Myself as a Parisian, I was dreaming about London and New York. And again today, I will say that I definitely think that because I was living in Paris, so I can understand.
Yeah.
For you, maybe
Because I don't live in Paris.
But honestly, I think it's better to switch if you want to push yourself direct to London. That's the real kick-ass is London for all Latin that we are.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. For the Latin people that we are. Because
London.
we are the same species in a way,
Yeah.
with different. And Paris, of course, it's not because it's the most advanced. I don't say higher, most advanced experience about intensity, about this kind of craziness of shows, history. In the Latin world, Paris is probably, I don't say that because I'm from, it's not a judgment, but objectively it's probably the most intense.
Well, actually, I don't know
With
about. I know there's a lot of.
Maybe also Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona, I'm sure.
Sure, recently, Paris has this kind of history in the 50s, also 60s, 90s.
Yeah.
This accumulation is, but this accumulation is not necessarily there. As I said, you don't see. Camus is not there anymore.
Well, with this whole globalization now.
Yeah, exactly. It has a role.
Yeah,
It's-
you can go anywhere and you feel like
Exactly, I feel
the
so.
same, That's why I would like to go to a place like Tibet or Antarctica or something like different,
But I think
Totally.
if we really want to kick our ass, we have the choice. Like in maximum intensity, New York, London still exist. Paris is an intermediate of that, with a different path. I mean, especially in Paris, music, theater, and I would say even poetry. I'm sorry to say that, but they are not enough recognized in the French culture. I know it can sound weird, but if you compare with London and New York, putain, they have a culture of speech. Fucking people, they invented the modern theater anyway. I just had some.
The drama, sure, I think it's more from the.
Yeah, but I just had a kick ass again a few months ago. I don't know why, I don't remember why. Sorry.
No, don't worry.
We will come back to what we were talking about Indians, but I just discovered a few months ago, and I said, what the fuck? I didn't know what was West End in London. Do you know what it is?
I know.
I didn't know that it's Broadway, in fact.
And it's that good?
I read things. I spent hours on it, not so much. I knew the name, but I didn't know that there was this gathering of 39 theaters in more or less the same place around the Shakespeare Theatre, which is a globe, if I remember.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of Broadway. And of course, Broadway is coming from the London example, as usual. And in fact, I was just thinking, you have absolutely not something like this in Paris. You have big stages, you have, I know what I'm talking about. It's not, I knew it in music because I started music when I was young. I knew in music that London was the place in Europe, for sure. With Vienna, of course.
Vienna?
And Berlin, of course. Historically, Berlin, Vienna, and Paris is after. London recently, in the 20th century, Berlin and Vienna in the 19th century, of course.
Yeah.
And Berlin in the end 20th century, about big orchestra, big music, big recordings. But London also, they had 4 main orchestra with 4 main stages: Philharmonia, Royal Courthouse, I forget. They love that. They love that.
Albert Hall or something like that.
And also the London Symphonic Orchestra is involved with so many original soundtracks like Star Wars, for example. Enfin, not always, because it was Boston Symphony Orchestra, so it's Boston. But London Symphony Orchestra is involved with so many. It's an industry. what I say is obvious. For English people are what you say the show, of course, but it's not only the shining part. It's also a real connection with their culture, their language. We don't have the same level in Paris, honestly. It's so that's why I say all of that.
Yeah.
So it was just the anecdote. I was again. I said to myself, "What the fuck? You shit on you! You know, you just discovered now that they had this kind of amazing place in London with so many theaters. I knew they had.
I had the same thing with Bucharest. I was expecting it to be like a really shitty place, but I really liked it. It is like Little Paris, you know. It has like a lot of French influence here,
Yeah.
and not in a bad way, not in a good way, in a cultural way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like yeah.
You know, that's why I say, you know, it always chooses you, you know, because you don't want to go to London or New York or Paris, exactly because they are big cities. You don't want to conform to the ideal. But there are some places, yeah, I would like to go to West End.
I understand when you say that, of course, that's...
But I'm afraid to be, it will make me too gay there. The West End is the gayest shit ever.
When you say that, of course, anyway, I would, when I say, I wouldn't recommend it, but I mean, especially with what you just said, anyway, I can understand that Paris is a kind of example, and of course, I would say at the opposite that it's super cool to know it a minimum. Exactly what I said as a basic. You have been one time in Paris?
No.
Never. Never at all. Never one day.
Never.
Okay. Yeah, you need to. Yeah, fine. You don't need, but of course it can be interesting. And in this case, to stay as much as possible. I mean, not 1 week. To stay, if possible, a few
I would
weeks.
stay a year if I would.
Yeah.
I think that's why you discover the city, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I don't like tourists. They go to 2 weeks to, I don't know, to Italy or something. They're like, okay, this is Italy, this is Germany. You should stay years there to know how it is.
I completely agree. It deserves it, yes, it deserves a minimum, yeah. Especially with what you have in mind, this kind of projection. Of course, it can really help you to better understand things. And it's of course possible on a short period like this to make it intense by good meeting, good people. Of course there is anyway, but it helps at this moment to understand French more, to go to theater, of course. That's a nice experience. I've done it also here. I've been to theater anywhere in any kind of culture.
What do you think of the theater here?
But super, what I saw was super, was good. I have been to Teatro de Arta, to Teatro Nacional. Another one, I forgot the name. Maybe it was Recul. So not a lot of experiences, just.
I haven't been either a lot, so it's.
But each time I was taken back. I can see people, especially when you don't understand everything, you are more focused about the acting by itself, the breathing, the eyes, the move, the consistency between what they say and the way they move, and yeah, good. I was totally taken. I was super good. It's professional and.
Okay. Well, for me, theater now, I don't know. It could be way more. It's kind of, I don't know. I think maybe we take drugs too much. I think people take drugs, but not in the best way to discover yourself. You know.
You mean in Bucharest? Or generally speaking?
Especially in art.
In art.
You know, they take way too many drugs and they don't learn nothing from it. They take it and they have fun, they smoke weed and they stay and just... they don't see that if you take that drug and you take a character, you know, and you try to become Hamlet, really become, because you can become Hamlet if you stay in that character. But I see a lot of fear in actually I was last month in a concours de théâtre. It was at the Universitate, something small. People were afraid to do something big, intense. They were like, I won't say small, because they were, I don't know, cabotine or...
J'ai compris. We have exactly the same. Cabotinage.
Cabotinage. A lot of cabotinage of people. But to be the character, to stay, even if it hurts, I don't see that. I see just on the surface, I see more surface, yeah. You know, you have to die for that.
Exact. You have to pay something.
You have to pay the price.
Yeah.
And they don't pay the price anymore, you know. It's like, you saw Whiplash. Now it's the biggest kind of art movie about art school or something.
I
It's
heard
a
about...
drummer.
Ah oui, that's the story of the drummer with the teacher.
Were you rushing? Were you dragging?
I didn't see it, and that's funny because, you know, sometimes you want to see something, you go to platform free. I don't have Netflix, so I go to Solar Movie, free platform. And Whiplash, that's a movie that I got it, I heard about it, and sometimes I see the vignette, you know,
Yeah.
I say, Whiplash.
I really like this word vignette.
Yeah, that's funny. And just the name. And I sometimes say, okay, I make a tab. Whiplash, I have to see it. So it was just 1 month ago, something like this. I think, okay, I will check Whiplash. Each time I read the pitch and say, it seems really to be interesting about music, by the way, and about transmission between master and disciple.
Yeah.
It seems to be super good. So no.
I think I had lived that experience, to have that intense experience. And it's good. After all, it's good to suffer for your art. It's good to be... You need sacrifice a lot. You need to sacrifice a lot. This kind, I don't know, for me, this kind of art should be... You know, Rolling Stones had an album, Let It Bleed. You should let it bleed, you know, because if you want something, you really want it, you should go all the way, even if you die on stage.
And what do you think will let bleed? The ego, or what is going out of ourselves? I mean, what do we need to get rid of? What do we need to? What is you think as an artist, especially on stage? Because
I wouldn't say demons, but something like that. Something you have to. You know, Bergman. Yeah, it isn't. But Bergman had a movie, The Hour of the Wolf. You saw it?
No, mais non.
And the idea is that there is an hour between like 4 or 5 in the morning where everybody is the most vulnerable they are. And they are like, in that time you can die or change a lot or become better. It's the best period for you and the worst. It's the most intense. Usually you think a lot of stuff, you want stuff. It depends on the person, sure, but there is some kind of hour of the wolf. The wolf comes of you, you know.
Yeah, okay.
And you need that kind of, that wolf in you. Maybe a wolf is not the greatest word.
It makes me think something. You need to be vulnerable, finally.
Yeah, exactly. Extremely vulnerable.
In a kind of way. I mean, I don't know what you need to lose, but I understand better what kind of state, and that's something we don't want to give up. So we don't want to give up ourselves. We need to keep a kind of safety, and when especially on stage, because music is not exactly the same exercise, especially or painting, not exactly the same. But and writing also is not exactly the same. It is not direct. When you write also you have to get rid, but you have to be vulnerable also.
Yeah.
But you have more distance. On stage it's it's immediate. Yeah, there's something. It's going fast. Yeah.
You can hardly breathe there, man.
Yeah.
You're there. You have to be there.
Yeah.
The light, you don't see much.
You cannot escape. I mean,
You can't escape. Exactly.
you cannot say, "Oh, I make a break now." No, yeah, that's this point. Of course, is crucial. It's changed everything. That's why it's a big. That's the essence of the big pressure. And by the way, myself, when I was trying to act and taking classes, teachers told me many times that it was like this, like many experience. Sometimes I'm here, sometimes not. It was like waves. Sometimes he sees me playing and in what I'm doing, sometimes disconnection. And that's sometimes also something you see when you are as a spectator.
Yeah.
You see people playing and you say, wow, that sounds good. Huh? No, it was out.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling because you thought it was good, but apparently the professional thought it was bad.
Also this.
That's
You have also this problem also, yeah.
You went and you tell an actor, okay, man, you rocked, and I know I was shit.
Yeah, that's also something.
What can you say after that? You know, it's like, okay, for me it was good, but I don't know nothing.
I mean, yeah, we can. But after it's a question of to know better about more precisely what was about, and it helps to discuss. But anyway, to come back to what you said about art here, and because it's important, theater here. What I saw was really professional. It was close to amateur, especially in Teatro di Arta. But, well, it was not. Of course, I don't understand everything, but I prefer to remember the good part I saw. And I saw really good people, I think, here. Who paid. I saw people paying. I can guarantee that. I saw people swapping here. Yes, they were paying. Maybe, of course, but I don't understand. Maybe they build something, but I remember, for example, as the name, Les Douleurs Fantômes, it was pretty good. Durerea Fantôme.
Fantôme.
Yeah, which is something which they play often. They play it a lot at Teatro di Arta. With Pop as a girl, well, she's good actress. Popa, Mihaela Popa, something like this. She's not very well known.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's a good play. Durerea, Phantom, Ghost.
The Phantom Suffering also.
Yeah. Which is an adaptation, not pretty good. It's a good play, really, and I see that it comes back every year to the.
If it's good, it always comes back.
Yeah, and so really, it's a dark story about this girl who left someone, and she still has this person in mind. It's really difficult to play. I mean, it's super dark, but it's
how dark.
I don't say the end, but I want to say too much. But dark, like sometimes. You see a character which is permanently suffering. I mean, for 1 hour and a half, and so. But so sometimes she has moments of hope. She has also stories again. But I mean, it's honestly, I think. It's this kind of character for woman. She's especially on her shoulder, the play. But where you have to not to cry sometimes, but almost, and to show really directly to the face to face public, very intense, dark emotions. Of course,
I don't know if you have the suspin in the French language. It's like, I think that's what you're saying. Not almost crying. You know, it's like suspense, like with the breath, you know.
Yeah. Oui.
Yeah.
Alors, un peu comme les soupirs, mais before crying, yeah, kind of big emotional, like eyes in tears and yeah, I forget the name. I understand. But there is something like this, and repetitively in the play, she has a moment like this, and sometimes I was thinking, well, it must be difficult to share, to hold that for 1 hour. It's kind of, yeah, like a long Hamlet suffering, you know, for 1 hour. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's difficult things to play. Like it can hurt you personally as an actor if you stay too. You cannot play really with your own pure emotion, with your own memories. That's what we call the difficult things to. It's not. You are not talking about philosophy or about cool stuff or about.
No.
But it's not funny. You're not talking about someone else. You're talking about what you feel. And you have to let people guess what you feel sometimes without speaking. Also, yeah, it was, but it was not boring, and that I remember the name because I saw also some classicals. I saw also some. It was not Chekhov, but putain, yeah, sorry, I forget. And something I know, a comedy. It's a classical. I forget. Anyway, I saw the stuff, and I saw. Anyway, I remember
have
really.
this French reaction. You have like a French reaction with the hand, you know. For me, it's a French reaction. I love that kind of thing.
Like putain or.
Putain, c'est dommage de ça, mais je ne crois pas que c'est possible.
Oui, this kind of Latin stuff. I was told sometimes that it's French, and I have different. Also, a girl a month ago told me, because I was well, it was 6 o'clock and we were all tired, we were drinking whiskey,
Yeah.
but it was cool, and I was more like this. I said, why you? And she told me, that's funny because that's exactly. She was living in Paris. She told me, a lot of French people you do, or say, you know, it's boring. This kind of yeah.
Of that we call it in Romania, like
with the mouth and
yeah.
this kind of stuff. Or just what I've done.
Exactly, and the O, it's always a O.
Yeah, a lot of O, yeah. And but also here, I mean, there is also more A maybe and more no, but here, no. It's close. It's not exactly the same, but it's close.
There is in Moldova, in my place, the O, it is a lot. Like in Bucharest, it's just A. They're crazy about the A. I think I prefer the O, but experience, so who knows. What do you think is the best performance you saw?
Here in Bucharest?
Anywhere.
Anywhere?
Anywhere.
In theater?
Let's say it.
Or in movies? Yeah, in theater?
I was thinking about movies.
But maybe in movies it's easier because
It's
we can
easier, yeah.
probably share it, because in theater it would be something you didn't see. I just realized now that describe Durea Phantom is super difficult. Finally, you have to, maybe you won't like it at all, but I think that's interesting to see a good actress, a good regisseur also, Bogdan, and I mean, because they try with few ways, and I love also the place that Theater. I mean, they do a good job, and I think they go in the good direction. They are more or less coming from Unateche, more or less. The director is coming also from the academy. It's not Iași, it's not Timișoara, it's not Cluj, not Tocna.
Sibiu.
maybe there's a big school, theater school here. And maybe it's Cluj. It's possible.
It is, yeah. Cluj is big now.
I think. Anyway, it was not Bucharest, but it was not Natice, but anyway. And so they are a good team. And so when you told me about people who don't pay,
Yeah.
this girl pays. Maybe she builds sometimes, she trades sometimes, because it's heavy. But she pays. Yeah. Anyway,
That's good.
and even whatever, we have also to be indulgent. I mean, because it's something. In time, I became more indulgent with people on stage. I always think anyway, even if it's shitty, even if it's boring, it's never shitty. It can be boring and can be disconnected, but I always now appreciate a minimum. At least you came on stage, you try.
Yeah. You let yourself to be there.
At least you expose yourself, and anyway, it's okay. Maybe it's for bad reason. Even if it's for ego, I saw it more today like a path of knowledge, personal. I mean, anyway, it's interesting to have, even if it's for narcissism, it's interesting, especially today, to try theater, because I know there are other ways. 1 century ago, theater maybe was more narcissistic also, finally, because people didn't choose it sometimes. I mean,
Interesting point.
there was no other way to flatter your narcissism. It was the only one possible. There was no movies, there was no internet, there was just theater. So you had also stupid people and really stupid people. But of course, we know so fantastic actor because it was very difficult but also it was another kind of competition also. People just super stupid, completely brainless, were also going on stage because or you had also this phenomena or not good at all people, but with a rich guy behind for backing up, who pays the director, that's all this kind of stuff is totally, I think
it's timeless.
Yeah, it's timeless, but this kind of corruption because it was so much important, theater.
Yeah.
And today it's less.
It's especially true to the there was a lot of female artists that were going with this kind of guy, or gay actors. They sleep with this director, no talent whatsoever, and they got big.
And these things still exist to sleep, but they don't become big.
Yeah,
because
people don't care anymore.
There are too much good people who at the moment we will see the truth.
And actually, I see like it's like a counter wave now of this kind of art. People don't respect now the idea to watch a film because Brad Pitt is in it. Even if it's good. Rarely people see now a movie because of a star they don't even care now about movies.
Oh, you mean that there is more than for theater, a counter wave even for movies?
For everything. I don't know if it's intentional. I think it is intentional, but
I just like a kind of boring also. People are boring.
People are really bored with
by everything.
By everything.
I think something. I think there is at a certain point a kind of banality of.
Well, like people are expecting a new art, like something. Wow. I don't know, something to feel. And now, for me, film is gone. It's like, I think it's dead. And it's hard to realize that because it happens so fast. It's like in the last 10 years, 15 years, it's just when theater, it's too melodramatic to work now.
More or less, yeah. More or less, I understand. Yeah.
Music, there is, I don't know. For me, today music is not music. it's more vibrations, and you have to be on a lot of things to enjoy it.
Globally, yes. Globally, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, you have also always exceptions, but yeah, globally it's big shit. That's really there is really no work behind. But as I said, like for theater, more or less, I have a kind of indigency. I appreciate anyway that someone tries to do something.
I do.
Even if it's he just stole the beat to someone else and it's exact, there is no melody, but in fact I'm on the side of the artist, but I'm not on the side of the public. I would kick their ass to everybody to admire stupid stuff, but I understand the artist because at least, I mean, yeah, I understand he tries. It's not interesting, but he tries at least. Just this desire, which is not only narcissistic, just this desire of expression. I mean, I suspect something good inside. I mean, I don't know how to say. Even it's never totally shitty. It's shitty when we compare with what was before.
We always do that.
And which was not so long time ago, and what could be possible if you work a little more on your stuff, you know, and if you just wait 1 year before posting it, and maybe you work on it again, you can add some stuff and or remove some stuff and just make it more precise, swingy, more cool, you know. And
my consolation with that is that
there is production without thinking.
It's like, even if you're not gonna be appreciated in your time, even you're not gonna be appreciated in, I don't know, 200 years, you're gonna be appreciated at one time, because everything in this world has its time. You know, it's like that Led Zeppelin song, your time is gonna come.
That's very optimistic and positive. I agree. When I think to this, I would say also, maybe not, but anyway, there is maybe something else. It exists anyway. It exists, and it doesn't need approval. It's the simple fact that you, exactly like the monk playing alone in the Tibet, he does it. I know it's very metaphysical, but nobody will know. And he's linked to the concept of the idea of the monk who was playing alone, so he did it. And I mean, in a way, he has the nature approval. I mean, in a way, he has, the God approval. I would say there is something like this. There is. I speak especially to the monk, the Tibetan monk, because it's part of their training, of their practice.
College people.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they can enjoy this moment of so much loneliness, why, when we have Ovicine, a lover of some friends who say, hey, it was nice. Wow, it's still cool. I mean, it has an approval. And of course, your own approval also.
That's important. Yeah.
But if it's an honest one, I mean, it counts like one person. I mean, yeah. So, in this case, I would say also that I will agree with you that on this point that everything has his time. And even if he doesn't really, I mean...
Even the monk, you said, like, he stays alone, but there are birds, there are air, there is... Maybe he sees something we don't see. Who knows what kind of language he knows there?
Well, you know what, sometimes I remember just recently this guy who said, a French guy, which is very well known who does more or less shitty things. Pascal Obispo. No, he's not well known necessarily. His guy, it will, if you know, you will be surprised that I quote him, because this guy is doing music for variety production, French, with taste, with a certain good level of melody, but he has easiness. For him, it's easy. He's gifted in melody, in harmony. He is really talented, but not so much. I mean, he could push himself, but he make money also. He go on stage. He's cool, but he's really, you have some people like this in the production. They are really smart. They know a lot, but they don't push themselves.
I used to be a lot like that.
But this guy, yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy says one day, that's very good to listen to your music. He's more than 50 now, 60 or something. He said that's very good to listen to your music you were listened to when you were a teenager. And I was thinking, and he said it at a moment in a TV show with such intensity, like, I understand that all I do is important for me. I'm a creator, but it's not so much important that what I felt when I was teenager, listening to certain music. And that's something that I will appreciate all my life.